Hey there guys, so today we're going to talk about estimation when it comes to adding and subtracting fractions. And you may be wondering why we didn't start with estimation and then move into actually finding the answer. And the reason that we didn't is because what we were working on before with our first set of lessons was adding and subtracting fractions that had denominators that were the same. But we know that fractions can have denominators that are different, and we do have to work on adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators as well. All right, now this year, all you have to know how to do is add and subtract fractions with like denominators, unless the denominators are 10 or 100, and that's going to be in a little bit, so we're not going to worry about that yet. Or we're estimating, okay? So when we're estimating, remember, we are not finding the exact answer. Let me say that again. When we are estimating, we are not finding the exact answer. And we're going to use what we learned about benchmark fractions, right? Remember, 1/2 and 1/2 to help us estimate with fractions. So let me give you an example. If I were adding 5/8 plus 8/10. I want to know, would this, and I'm just going to write this out, would this answer be greater than 1 or less than 1? Meaning, would it be more than a whole or less than a whole? And you might be thinking, oh my goodness, Mrs. Long, I don't know. I don't have any clue how to find this out, and I'm totally freaking out right now. Okay? You don't have to freak out. Let's think about what we know about fractions. Okay? We know about how much a half is. We know that every fraction that's equivalent to 1/2, the numerator is half the denominator. So if I take the numerator times 2, it's going to equal the denominator. If the numerator is less than half the denominator, that fraction is less than a half. If the numerator is more than half the denominator, that fraction is more than 1/2. We also know that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1/2. So I'm going to take that information and look at these two fractions. 5/8 is bigger than a half, right? Because 5 is more than half of 8. 8/10 is definitely bigger than a half as well. In fact, 8/10 is almost 1/2 because 8 is almost 10, right? I have almost all of these pieces. So if I'm adding these together, bigger than a half plus bigger than a half, it's for sure going to be bigger than a whole because 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1/2. Okay, if I need to draw pictures to represent it, I can, right? I mean, I have to understand I'm not talking about the same size pieces, so I can't just combine them. But if I want to see, well, am I shading in more than 1/2? I mean, draw a picture to see. Like, look, I shaded in more than 1/2, so this fraction's bigger than 1/2. For this one, if I'm not sure, if I don't understand that little trick or that little rule, draw it out. Am I going to shade in more than a half for here? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In both cases, I shaded in more than 1/2. So that means that my answer is going to be more than 1/2. Okay? Let's look at another example. Let's say I have 1/5 plus 3/4. I want to know, is that going to, what do you think that's going to be? Well, this one's a little bit tricky. Let's actually change this up. 1/5 plus, let's do 3/6. Sorry, guys. 1/5 plus 3/6. All right, they're not going to make it that hard for you. 1/5 plus 3/6. All right, well, a half plus a half equals a whole. 1/5. I mean, if I have a unit fraction and my denominator is a 5, that's a pretty small fraction, but if I want to draw it out, I can. All right, in this case, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm only shading in one piece. Did I shade in half of that? Not even close. All right, here I have 3/6. All right, here I did shade in half, but this is only a little teeny bit. So that is going to equal less than 1, right? That's going to equal less than 1. Do I have to know how to actually add those fractions yet? No, you do not. You are not actually finding the answer. So please, 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 please don't say, well, I don't know how to add fractions with unlike denominators. You aren't going to learn that until 5th grade. That is a 5th grade standard. So you're going to learn that next year. Right now we're estimating. We're saying, is it about 1/2? Is it about 1 whole? Where does it fall? Okay, we can, let's see here. I'm looking at your math book to get some examples. All right. But this is all we're doing. Let's see here. If I were doing 9/10 minus 1/4, okay. You're wanting to think, well, this is almost a whole. Is the answer going to be bigger than 1/2 or less than 1/2? This is almost 1 whole, and I'm taking away 1/4. Well, I know 1/4 is less than 1/2, so if I have almost a whole and I'm taking away less than 1/2, it's still going to be greater than 1/2 left. All right? So you're, again, thinking like, what would be reasonable? What would be reasonable? That's kind of what you're thinking with all of these. And to be honest, you're not going to see this on FSA. This is just in your lessons, and it's just this one lesson where you're working on this, and you may see some questions on your test. So I want you to know how to do this, but this is not something that you're going to see so much on FSA. You're going to have to do more focusing on actually adding and subtracting fractions, okay? So again, with this, you're thinking about how much is 1/2, how much is a whole. If you need to draw pictures to see if it's bigger or smaller than 1/2, draw pictures to see if it's bigger or smaller than 1/2. Okay, that's not going to hurt you to draw the pictures to see. If you have questions, please let us know. Like I said, this is a little bit tricky. It's a little bit of a weird way to think about it. It is just this one lesson where you're having to do this estimating, so don't freak out and think, oh my goodness, this is ruining everything I know about fractions. Okay, because it's not. This is just one lesson, all right? There are just a few questions on the test that have to do with this, and all you're thinking about is what is the relationship of the fraction to 1/2? What is the relationship of the fraction to 1 whole? And use what you know about halves and wholes to answer the questions, okay? If you have questions, let us know. We're more than happy to help. You do not have to find the actual answer, so don't freak out about not knowing how to do that yet. You don't actually have to know that at all for 4th grade. That is a 5th grade standard, all right? I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.